The Funeral System of Lifechanyuan by Xuefeng. There are dozens of ways for humans to deal with the dead, including burial, cremation, water burial, sky burial, hanging coffin burial, tower burial, wild burial, cave burial, and embalming, to name just a few. Regardless of the method, there are essentially only two types: those that preserve the body and those that do not. Preserving the body mainly provides a home for the soul or awaits resurrection, while not preserving the body mainly allows the soul to be liberated, either to be reincarnated or to ascend to heaven. In modern society, the main method of handling corpses is cremation, followed by placing the ashes in a cemetery or funeral home, or burying the ashes in a selected burial site and erecting a tombstone for descendants to pay homage. I have deeply contemplated the issue of how to handle the corpses of Chanyuan celestials after they leave the human world. From any perspective, the best burial method in human history is cremation, followed by scattering the ashes in the green mountains and waters, leaving no body, no grave, and no traces behind. I recently visited a cemetery in Jiayuguan and Juquan. The cemetery was built like a garden, with the cheapest plot costing over 12 million yuan. I deeply felt the sadness, not only because it's hard to live, but also because it adds trouble and sorrow for the living. I once drove past two cemeteries, one in Harare and one in Lanzhou. The cemeteries occupied a large area, with thousands of tombstones densely packed, as if millions of souls were crowding there, telling the living something. What exactly were they telling? It's understandable for descendants to create a beautiful and comfortable resting place for their ancestors' souls. Every creature deserves respect and deserves to be arranged in the best possible place to comfort the departed souls and soothe the living, bringing peace to both mind and spirit. This is all reasonable. However, when we make arrangements for the departed, we should consider more for those who come after us, for our descendants. In that case, which funeral method makes the most sense? Water burial and sky burial have a major hidden danger. If the body carries diseases, it could infect fish, birds, and animals, which could then spread to humans. Therefore, methods like water burial and sky burial are not recommended. The biggest drawback of burial is that it occupies mountains and lands, essentially competing with the living for living space. Whether it's cremation and keeping the ashes in a funeral home, or burying them in the ground and erecting a tombstone, it still causes more or less trouble for future generations. Therefore, the best funeral method is cremation, and then scattering the ashes in majestic mountains, rivers, and lands. The funeral system reflects a culture. The formation of a culture is based on people's understanding of nature, human society, and life itself. When we view the departed from the perspective of life, we realize that after death, the soul heads to 4 destinations. 1. Ascending to higher realms. 2. Descending to lower realms. 3. Reincarnating back to the human world. 4. Temporarily residing between the yin and yang worlds. Therefore, for 95% of the departed, tombs, including keeping the ashes and erecting tombstones, have no value or meaning to them. They only serve as psychological and spiritual comfort for the living. How the worldly people treat the souls of their relatives and friends is not something I, as a guide in Lifechanyuan, would interfere with. People should do whatever they feel is reasonable. However, for the Chanyuan celestials of Lifechanyuan, I would like to offer the following suggestion. After Chanyuan celestials leave the human world, most will head to the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, the Elysium world, or the celestial islands continent of the fairylands. They will not go to the lower realms of life, such as the animal realm, the plant realm, or the underworld, nor will they reincarnate back to the human world or wander between the yin and yang worlds as lonely ghosts. Therefore, there is no need to leave any traces in the human world. Once traces are left, they will create attachments, which will pose risks to their future lives in heaven. Therefore, the funeral system for Chanyuan celestials after leaving the human world is: do not let descendants waste resources for you. Do not let descendants cry for you. Do not let descendants create graves and tombstones for you. Do not let descendants make coffins and urns for you. Cremate the body and then scatter the ashes in the majestic mountains, rivers, lakes, and seas. The above is only a suggestion for Chanyuan celestials living outside the second home. Whether to accept it or not is up to each individual. However, for Chanyuan celestials living in the second home, this is not a suggestion but a system. Whether you accept it or not, the home will arrange your affairs in this way after you leave the human world. If any Chanyuan celestial is unwilling to accept this, you can choose to live outside the second home instead of entering the second home. In summary, the funeral system of Lifechanyuan is beneficial for the future lives of Chanyuan celestials, greatly reducing the burden on relatives and friends, and no longer occupying space on Earth, causing trouble for future generations. This is a symbol of civilization and a mark of cultural sublimation. July 15, 2009.